Thank you for watching Ebony Ladies in the DR. I'm your host, Bridget. And before I even get started, I want to send out my heartfelt condolences to everyone affected by the incident in Santo Domingo. I didn't know any of the people personally, but just being human, I have shed so many tears. And I hope I don't start crying during this video because it's such a sad thing that happened. And it was really hard for me these last few days because as more and more information is coming out, it just solidified my thinking on the greed of people, and it's so sad because of everything that is going on. So I was on the fence about making the video, period. But then I decided to do it. And it's not for likes or any of that because you all know I don't chase stories and things like that. I do what is close to my heart or what I feel like needs to be addressed. And this is one of those things. I've been in the Dominican Republic for 6 years. And so even though I didn't know any of the victims personally, my heart just goes out to everyone that has been affected by this. So let me start off by saying I have, and I think a lot of the people that watch my channel kind of have Dominicans. Kind of have a love-hate relationship with me, the same way that I kind of have a love-hate relationship with the country. I love the country because it afforded me a new lifestyle. I love the country because it's beautiful. I love the beaches. I love, the calmness, the peace that it brought me. And on the other hand, the things that I hate are the greed, the greed of the people. And not all Dominicans, but a lot. Just the greed of the people is always about money, 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 instead of having a plan for the future or seeing the how you can have benefits in the long term. They don't see that. A lot of Dominicans don't see that. And so it was hard for me to make the decision, but I did. And the reason I did is because as the days are going on social media, now there are videos of employees that just said were sweeping up debris that was falling from the ceiling. And this is not made up. I'm gonna have Devlin put in clips in here to back up everything that I'm saying, like I always do. But they were sweeping up the debris from the roof that was starting to crumble a week before this actually happened. And people are like, it's an accident, blah, blah, blah. No, not an accident. It was a situation that was bound to happen. Because one thing about Dominicans, and this is something that one of my subscribers asked me, and I'll never forget, and Devlin brought it up a couple of days ago. 2 or 3 years ago, someone said, oh, you did an episode on Dinner in the Sky. Why didn't you do it from up in the sky? Why didn't you do it up top? And I said, I'm never doing Dinner in the Sky, and they were like, why? I said, because Dominican Republic, for me, it doesn't seem like they have a record of maintenance. And those were my exact words. I said, I see people in the Dominican Republic with these super nice cars, and when they leave a parking space, there's oil everywhere. They come down the street in their Range Rover and their Maserati, and you can hear these loud knocking sounds. Like, don't they hear that? But what I have realized is, and one of my neighbors, they're Dominican, they don't do any upkeep on their house. They wait till things completely break down and then they have to get it fixed. Versus, okay, they said you should do this to your plumbing every couple of years. Okay, you should do this to your cistern every couple of years. Or you should do this to your sewage every 6 months. Or and Dominicans are like, nah, we'll do it when it breaks down. We'll do it. And so that's what I feel like was the situation with Jesset. I don't feel like there was regular maintenance, just like amusement parks in the Dominican Republic, Dinner in the Sky, Dominican Republic, cars. I would never buy a car that was previously owned by a Dominican. And it is not that, there's no easy way to say it. It's just they prefer to keep all of their money in their pocket to spend on luxury things or do other things with it. versus keeping up the maintenance and doing what they're supposed to do. And so I have been seeing so many reports coming out now. They said the last time the Jet Set Club was or had anything done was 2015, but that was renovations. Dominicans gonna make it pretty. I say that all the time. Dominicans are gonna landscape these new properties. They're gonna make it pretty, but the paint is already peeling on most of these new builds. People are reporting leaking pipes because they're gonna do the very minimum. They're going to make the outside look cute, make it look pretty, shiny, and new, and the inside is falling apart. And that is the exact thing that was going on with Jet Set. The owners were making it pretty. They were making more tables, more bottles, bottle opportunities, more tables for more capacity, more people to come in, but they weren't doing anything to ensure your safety. So when I start thinking about it, and people were like, "Oh, all these lawsuits are popping up because against the owner," and he made his statement how he's cooperating with everybody to find out what happened. Dude, you know what happened. They put out 2015, like I said, they put out their report when renovations were done. But how long is it going to take to put out a report of when the last time the roof was checked? Or when the last time the structure was inspected? How long will it take for those reports? So people are like, yeah, he should definitely go to jail, blah, blah, blah. Because to date, I think it's like 222 people have died. You can't even fathom that. 222 people died in one incident. So should he go to jail? Absolutely, he should go to jail. But you want to know who else should go to jail? His mama, the manager, should go to jail right along with him. Any of the employees that were in there sweeping up debris from a week ago saying that the roof was crumbling and didn't report it. All of those people should go to jail as well. The engineers that took bribes, any public officials that took money to pass him through inspection, anybody that could have made a difference, that could have spoken up and said, this club is not safe. Just like y'all are so loud and so vocal when it comes to, Haitians being in the country, when it comes to the Haitians taking up space in the hospitals. And I'm not pro-Haitian. I'm just saying, using that as an example of how loud Dominicans will be and how proud they are of their country. But when it comes time to shell out the money to do things that aren't seen, to do things that are behind the scene that the average person wouldn't see in order to keep you safe, those things don't happen. And that's what makes me so mad, because while this man is being featured, the owner being featured on the cover of Forbes magazine, how much money were you pocketing instead of making sure the structure was fixed, making sure? And it was like crazy to me that this was a celebration, I think their 50th year in business. If I hadn't done anything 2-3 years before, if I hadn't done anything, and I know the type of notoriety my club has, I know the names that were going to be coming. There were politicians, there were ex-baseball players, there was a mayor, there were people, prominent people from the community, everybody. I would have, if I had never done it before in the past, I would have made sure my building was 100% ready to go, 100% safe, not just clean and pretty, not just the table set up, not just a bunch of pretty Dominican waitresses and handsome bartenders. No, I would have made sure that the structure was perfect. And now it's just like, it's making me so mad every time I think about it, because now all these people are coming out. They're like, you can hear the music 5-6 blocks down the street from the club, because that's how loud the music was. And they were saying, oh, it was close to the beach, and the salt water was making the material of the building crumble, and they had metal tin covering up the roof because there was I don't know if there was a fire a few years ago, and did they bring it up to code after the fire? It doesn't sound like it. And then when they showed the structure from an area view, there were like no beams, there were no columns, there was nothing to hold the structure up. So I said, where does the money go? And I say this all the time. That's why I feel like the people, Dominicans that watch my channel, and quite a few prominent Dominicans watch my channel, because I sometimes hear from them in the comments section. And I know it's a love-hate relationship. And I'm fine with that, because I'm always going to be the one to speak out. Because had I ever gone to Jet Set and known that anything was going on like that, I would have been like, hey, never going back to that club. It is dangerous. It had too many people in there. It was a fire hazard. Because I'm going to speak up each and every time. And just like I feel like the maintenance probably wasn't done, and that's why the incident happened, is going to happen again in the Dominican Republic. That's why I said I would never get on the cable cars. That's why I said I'm never going to any of the amusement parks, because maintenance is not a priority. If maintenance in Dominican Republic was a priority, Punta Cana, the city that brings the majority of the money to the country, has potholes on the main streets. We flood every time there's a heavy rain. There are so many vacant buildings that they threw up, commercial spaces that are going up every single day, apartments that are going up every single day, all these new builds, all these new projects that are going on, but nothing is being done to keep the city flowing, to keep us safe. Because when there's huge potholes and then there's rain, the motos are falling into the potholes, and they're falling off the bikes, and they're getting hit by cars. So it's a domino effect of being greedy. And I say it all the time. Yeah, you can't let greed um you can't let greed be how you rule. You can't let greed be your factor when you make decisions on things that affect other people. Now, if it had just been the owner's house that crumbled, I would have felt sad, because that would have been a sad thing. But he's responsible for his house and his family. That's his thing. But you have a whole nightclub, and it said it was over 300 people, close to 500 people, I heard, in the nightclub, and your structure wasn't sound. That's on you. And then it's on your mom as a manager of the hotel. It's on, I'm sorry, of the club, and it's on the employees who saw the deterioration for not speaking up. Guys, everybody has a voice. And I understand people don't have a fear of losing their jobs. They don't want to lose their job. They're not going to say anything. Baby, there are a million jobs out there. Trust me, you'll get another one. Don't stay in an environment that's not safe. But I have learned that Dominicans, like other people, they like the status of working for the hottest club in Santo Domingo. I'm sure they like that. And, so but we have to be hard on each other sometimes. We have to be hard on people in order to save ourselves and save our lives. And I know that there were quite a few employees that were lost in this incident as well. And my hearts go out to them and their families. But who could have spoken up? Who could have said something? There was a man on Bavito Digital on Instagram, and he's lost two daughters. I can't even imagine. He lost two daughters in the incident. But he was one of the main people that was loud and vocal on how the club hasn't been safe for years, and how the managers, all the owners were always pocketing the money instead of fixing it up and doing this and this and that. Well, why are you vocal now? Why are you loud now? Is there footage of you saying this 2 months ago, a year ago? Don't, after the fact, people. After the fact is too late. After the fact is too late. So, Dominican Republic, you have got to do better. Punta Cana, you have got to do better. I lived there, I loved it there, but I'm not going to be quiet. I am always going to use my voice to say, make this country safe, make our cities safe. The money is going to continue to come, but it won't if things like this continue to happen, because then Dominican Republic is going to be labeled as one of the unsafest countries to visit, because you never know if the roof is literally going to fall on your head. And it was just like, I just couldn't even believe it. But I think, drastic things happen so that people can make drastic changes. And so I'm hoping that the good that comes out of this is that the first of all, people all will be punished, that the corruption will stop, that you can't just take money and say, okay, the building is inspected, it's good to go, because it could have been you in that building partying, or your family members in that building partying, where you have said the structure was safe, and then you lost your family. So is that what it's going to take? Constant corruption and constant disruption. It's like, this can't keep happening. This should have never happened. We hope that it never happens again. I know you're not going to change corrupt people overnight, but I'm hoping that because this happened, that people will say, we got to do better. We got it. I hope that all the people that were involved in passing them through inspections, or not even doing the inspections when they were supposed to, or the owners cutting corners here and there, that they're all rot in jail, and then that people would think twice before they cut corners, because you're cutting corners at the expense of our lives. I could have been at that club had I been invited, had I known anything about it. I mean, I'm traveling, I'm out of the country right now, but I love the Dominican Republic. I love events, I love live events, I love being a part of the community, so I'm always out and about. But I don't want to ever feel like I'm going to places and I'm not safe just because they have pocketed the money for an inspection. And it's so many things that are coming out on Barbados Digital and Barbados News. Y'all know that's where I get my news. And I follow what's going on in my community. And so now everybody is posting the bridge. The main bridge that comes into Santo Domingo, I don't know the name of it, but Devlin's going to put it on the screen. The bridge has a huge crack. So were they waiting for the bridge to collapse and thousands of people who cross that bridge every day die? So I'm asking, because you have to make things safe. So if you have to shut down that bridge, then shut it down and repair the bridge. Don't let it be an after the fact, when all of these people have died again, that we should have. And it doesn't make sense. Why hasn't the bridge been inspected? When was the last time the bridge was inspected? Why is there a huge crack that the citizens have to put online and show? Why isn't the department of the engineers, construction, I don't know the names of these people, but why didn't they detect that? Why isn't there a memo, or that, or whatever, the news publication that the bridge is going to be closed this day from to repair? None of that has come out now after the fact, that everybody's speaking up because they don't do maintenance. So it's going to be one tragedy after another until Dominican Republic decides to make people's lives a priority, versus just being rich, versus just having a whole bunch of money, because money is not everything when you are dead. That's the simple fact. And I'm glad I did this video, because I got all this off my chest, because I'm like, right now I'm really mad at the Dominican Republic. I'm not there right now. I'm traveling on vacation, but I'm mad at them. I'm upset with them, because this did not have to happen. When you say things could be avoided, this absolutely could have been avoided. I know I'm gonna get so much slack, and like I always do, y'all have been beating me up in the comments because y'all feel like, and people have been telling me go back where I came from, because they feel like I'm an American, but I chose to live in the Dominican Republic. And I'm gonna have a voice because I want things to be better. It's a great place to live, but it's not without its faults. And people have to step up to the plate and take accountability for the things that they know they are doing wrong. And you just can't keep lining your pockets. And that goes to the president. And not to say that he's accepting bribes or lining his pockets or doing any of that. But my intentions are pure. I want the president to see this. I want him to say those lives could have been saved, but going forward, while I'm in office, I'm going to do everything I can that this will not happen again. I'm going to make sure that these builders and these owners are following code, that the buildings are up to inspections, and that things are being done to keep the people safe in the Dominican Republic. That is all I'm saying. So, guys, don't jump down my throat for having a voice. Have your own voice. If you are working in a company or if you're a part of a business and you know that shortcuts are being taken, say something. There are a million jobs out there. You'll get another job. And if you don't, do you really want to work for that type of company? Because just think, it could be you, it could be your family members that lose their lives because of you not saying anything. All right. Okay. I got it off my chest. Again, condolences to everybody that was affected by Jet Set. There's so many more things I could say, but I think you all get the gist of where I'm going with the greed and the sweeping things under the rug and just not doing the right thing. But I thank you all for always tuning in. Don't forget, I do a daily tip from an expat every day, and my regular episodes are every Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And as always, I welcome your comments. All right. Thank you all. Take care. Be safe.